Welcome to the Refugee Radio program. Today I'm talking to Usman Khalid, the social entrepreneur and refugee behind Haven Coffee. Haven Coffee is many things to many people, but one thing it is a coffee shop down on St Mary Road in Walthamstow. But the shop does so much else. It also promotes refugee artists, they run barista training for new refugees, and Khalid organises stand-up comedy gigs with refugees and asylum seeker comics. They've got an event coming up, the Laffuccino, on Thursday, June the 19th, with Shappy Corsandi and other comics, and that's from 8 to 10 p.m. at the Big Penny Social on Priestley Way. You can find out more about Haven Coffee on their website, www.havencoffee.co.uk. In the program today, I'm going to be talking to Usman Khalid about setting up the shop, his life and work, about his experiences in the detention system, about his future meeting with David Mitchell, and his experiences taking on Starbucks.
Welcome to Refugee Radio.
I've got a quote from you that I love, which is our first priority is always, always, always the quality of the coffee.
Yeah,
That's why this shop doesn't look like a social enterprise. The shop
yeah,
looks like a cafe which happens to have a social mission. I love
yeah,
that. I think that's fantastic.
yeah,
I'm a big fan of social enterprise, and I really like projects like this, and I love the idea of it. You know,
yeah,
as you say, it doesn't have to look like that. It just gets to do that, but it gets to look like a great
yeah.
quality coffee. That's the beginning of it. That's great.
Not the wording, but the concept I've stolen. No, I've not stolen, but because I already know this thing. But there is this social enterprise called Redemption Roasters. They are a coffee business and they work with ex-convicts. They train ex-convicts and then give them jobs also. But if you go to their cafes, of course, it's like a very artisan, posh style, the ambience and atmosphere. And by no way you can tell that they are like a charity or a social enterprise. And then I also went to Crisis, and the Crisis is a charity for homeless people, and they
Mm.
have a cafe inside their like a coffee corner inside their shop. But if you enter into Crisis, you will definitely say that this is a charity which happens to have a cafe inside. But if you enter into the Redemption Roasters, you will say that it's a coffee shop, it's a specialty coffee shop, which happens to have a social enterprise. And so I wanted to be like Redemption Roasters. We wanted to be like a social like a cafe, a coffee shop, a specialty coffee shop, uh, which happens to have a social mission, like a with our vibes are community, love, warm, warmth, and they all, of course, support our social mission as well. But like I said, that we are not a charity. Uh, we are a business. We're a social enterprise, which has uh, has a social mission.
I know we're on the radio, so we don't have visuals, but perhaps you could paint a picture of the cafe, what it looks like, what the area is like.
That will be like blind leading to blind, but like I, I don't know. So at the moment, we have a very small cafe. We have some artwork on the walls by refugee artists, and then we got our sign outside, a wooden sign. We got our A board with some nice quotes on. At the moment, we are doing this laughing challenge where if someone tell us a joke, and if I laugh, they will get a 50% off.
Oh wow.
So it's very difficult for anyone to make me laugh. So that's why and then we got some couple of tables and chairs outside, couple of tables inside, but we don't have much space inside. Unfortunately, we are looking for a bigger location at the moment. We have a book corner where people can take a book, leave a book, or just take a book. They don't need to leave a book immediately. They can take a book, read it, and return it. And then we have our coffee machine, of course. We got a very nice counter, which is a bespoke counter, a wooden counter with our brand color on it. And then we got a machine and a grinder and some writing on the machine, some artwork on the machine as well. So very small but very warm and very welcoming.
I love the laughing challenge. 50% off is huge.
Yeah.
You must have heard some good jokes.
Yeah, mostly people they are here for dad jokes, and uh, and trust me that sometimes these dad jokes are the best. But like I said, that is difficult for me to laugh. It's difficult for people to make me laugh, so it's a challenge for me also. I shouldn't be laughing, so like I don't have so I need to resist myself even if a
Yeah.
joke is funny. So otherwise it's a 50% off. So but it's just for fun, of course. Sometimes people tell me a joke, and even if I laugh, they just pay full price. So yeah, it's just
Oh,
for
that's
fun.
nice.
Yeah.
The challenge for them is getting you to crack rather than getting the money off. Um,
Yeah.
and let's talk about comedy then and laughter. So you have a comedy event coming up that you're going to tell us a little bit about, and perhaps also you could tell us why comedy, why that is special to you, or why that goes well with coffee.
So let me first tell you why comedy. When I started my journey as a refugee after being detained into a detention center and then getting my refugee status back in 2015. When I got my status, then I started working with different organizations. The first organization I started working as a volunteer was Detention Action, where I had a chance to speak in front of many people and do a public speaking about detention and the cruel asylum system and the cruel detention system in particular. From there, then on the side, I started doing my degree. I was doing some random jobs as well. From there, I had a chance to do an internship, a marketing internship with a company organization called Counterpoints Arts. So the Counterpoints Arts is an organization who celebrate the contribution of the migrants and refugees in the society through the arts. And one of their brand is Refugee Week. So they started Refugee Week, and Refugee Week is a festival where hundreds of thousands of organizations across the country participates, and now it become international as well. There are other countries participating as well. So and then these organizations across the country, they run different art projects or different events. They hold different events to celebrate, but also to discuss the issues of refugees and asylum seekers, but also to celebrate their contribution to the society and the importance of their contributions and importance of them as a human being, of course, and not just a contribution. We're not just talking about contributions, we are talking about the importance of each human life. And so while I was working with them, I started working towards my own business idea, which is Haven Coffee. And Haven Coffee comes into was a kind of dream. When I came to this country, a few things I really liked. One of them was this cafe culture, and I wanted to open my own cafe, but my situation never allowed me to. But when I had some freedom, I started doing my degree, and then I also started working towards my this planning, and then I joined another organization which is called Turn. So Turn is an organization which support refugees and asylum seekers into starting their own businesses. And through turn, I started working towards Haven Coffee. And then, because of my own experiences of life, I joined this social mission also. So, Haven Coffee is a social enterprise where we serve ethically sourced, fair trade, organic cup of specialty coffee with a social mission of challenging the false narratives around refugees in the society with the help of both visual and performing art projects. Now you ask me the question, why comedy? Because so working in with Counterpoints Arts, I realized that art is a language which is spoken and understood by everyone without any borders. And art is a language everyone enjoys. Art is a medium everyone enjoys across the globe. The other thing I learned is that in whole of the art forms, comedy is an art form where you have a bigger pitch to play on. A comedy is the art form where you can say things which you cannot say otherwise. Comedy is a platform where, and is an art form where you can convey your message without even making anyone offended. And then, because of my own personal interest in comedy as well, then I chose to do comedy. And what we do now is one of our project is called La Facino, the one which you were mentioning. And La Facino is where we run workshops, stand-up comedy workshops, where we train asylum seekers and refugees into art of stand-up. And then after those workshops, we run our own comedy gigs with the name of La Facino, where they get a chance to perform on the stage as a stand-up comedian alongside with some famous comedians as well. We always have some famous names to have a balance between the social mission and the sales of the tickets. So our next La Facino, which will be the 10th one, is going to be during Refugee Week on 19th of June. We always do two gigs, one during Refugee Week in June and one in December, which is a slightly smaller one. So this one in June is on 19th of June in Walthamstow. There is a uh, venue called Big Penny Social, where we will have like 4 to 5 comedians from our workshops, and then there will be a few famous names as well, like Shapi Khorsandi is our headliner this time around. We got John Kearns from Taskmaster. He's going to be there performing. Then there is another very brilliant artist, Ania Magliano. She's gonna be there as well. And then couple more. Yes.
Thank you. And of course, comedy is stand-up comedy is such a great skill to teach people because it involves public speaking, it involves confidence, it involves storytelling, it involves, communication, English language, all of these things. And that's part of the thing for you at Haven, right? Is training people up and helping new arrivals to gain new skills.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes you are doing something, you're going for a training and you are getting trained for something, but unknowingly you are getting training for some other things also on the side. Like you mentioned, public speaking or confidence or English language or creative thinking. Stand-up comedy is not delivering jokes. Stand-up comedy is more like observation, your observational skills, your analytical skills. It enhances your critical thinking. So that is one of the things I rate stand-up comedians, or I rate comedians in general, higher than all the other artists. Not that other artists they don't have any value, but they think outside the box. Training stand-up is not just like telling jokes, and it's more than that.
You ever get starstruck meeting any of the famous comedians that you've had involved with the Laffuccino?
There's so many. Nish Kumar is one of the person.
That was last
You
year. I
know,
think you had Nish Kumar
yeah, yeah.
on the
We, we,
Laffuccino. Yeah.
we we had Nish Kumar many times, and he's a good contact now. He's a friend. I will call him a friend, and he's very supportive person. He's a very good human being. He's very supportive, and he's always there whenever I ask him to perform. He's always there. He's a very nice guy. I actually met him back in 2019. I then who else I met? I met so many. I met Ramesh Ranganathan
Mm.
as well. Met Reese James. So all these people we performed with. They performed with us. Reese James, then Lou Saunders, Nabil Abdul Rashid, Ahir Shah. I met Shapi Khorsandi once before at a different in a different setup, not the comedy, but a different. It was a different project. But so all these, yeah, they're famous people. They're people from Delhi. There, of course, there are people who are bigger in a media hierarchy than them, of course, like talking about people like Jimmy Carr, or for example someone like Lee Mack, or those TV personalities, bigger ones, or David Mitchell. And David Mitchell is one of them, which I really want to meet some if I ever had a chance. He's one of my favorites from the telly.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions, was who would be your dream hire if there was any comedian you could get to be involved with it? And it's not necessarily even somebody that's still with us today. It could be somebody from the past. I wondered
Oh,
who you might choose.
there's so many. There's so many. But so David Mitchell doesn't do, I think, stand-ups. Of course, yeah, he's from the, but he's genius. He's genius. This is very interesting. So these two people I really want to meet. There's so many, of course. There's so many. But if you just say one or two, then it has to be David Mitchell, number one, and then secondly, it has to be Leanne Morgan. I really like her. She's very witty. Loved her, that alias Philomena Kunk. So they're amazing people. And David Mitchell, of course, like I loved. He's he's amazing. He's amazing. But then, of course, there's so many greats. There is.
You were talking before about coming out of a detention. Maybe for somebody listening who doesn't know what detention is, could you tell us a little bit about that? Maybe our listeners aren't familiar with what actually happens or why it happens.
Yeah, so basically, detention centers are designed to keep people whose asylum cases are pending, or who are living in this country without papers. And if they get caught, they are sent to detention until their case is being a decision has been made, and then either they will be released back into the society, into the country, or either they will be deported. But the situation inside the detention, the quality of the detention centers are very questionable, and the practices of detention centers are very questionable. There are like the way the detainee is being treated in the detention center is very questionable. The power of the staff inside is very questionable. The negligence of Home Office, and the understaffing of Home Office, and the delays of the decision making of the asylum cases is very questionable. And there is no time limit on detention is also very questionable.
Yeah, then this is a strange thing that people don't, I think, know enough about, or doesn't get talked enough about, that the detention center is effectively like a prison, but when you go
It's a state within a state. It's a
when
state
yeah,
within a state.
yeah,
Yeah, it's worse than a prison, because in prison, when you go into the prison, so UK is the only country in Europe where there is no time limit on detention. So you can go in, and you don't know how long it will take you to get out. You can be there for one day, or you can be there for a year, depending on your caseworkers, depending on so many other factors. But it shouldn't be like this. There should be a time limit, maybe 20 days or whatever, that in 20 days, once they have you in detention center, there should be like a time limit that we will not keep you inside more than, let's say, 20 days, for example. It's their duty, it's their job for which they are getting paid, to sort out the case, to make a decision, a fair decision, of course. But they don't because they're incapable of doing it. But the detainee suffers. The people who are inside, they suffer. I've seen people inside detention center more than a year. And then there's another issue in detention centers. Sometimes when the detention centers are full and they want to bring more detainees in, they let some detainees just go back into the society without any decision, and then they bring them back inside. So keep bringing them back, keep releasing them on a temporary release can impact a lot on their mental health, the people's mental health as well.
Which is different to a prison, because in a prison, you know you've committed a crime, you've been sent to prison, this is how long you're going to stay there for. And
Yeah,
the duration of that is the punishment, and it's commensurate with the severity of the offence that you've committed. Whereas, as you're saying,
exactly.
if you're being detained, but you've no idea when you're getting out, or
Of
why
course.
whether you even need to be there,
Yeah.
because somebody else is, because a bureaucracy hasn't made a decision about something that you've given them the information to make a decision on. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then the staff is very rude inside. Detention center should be a space where the staff should be very considerate and should be very compassionate, but it's other way around. The staff inside is very rude and very strict. So the detainees, the people are already going through a trauma, are already going through like a tough time of their lives, and on the top of it, the officers inside, the staff inside, is uh, is not very compassionate, is not very helpful, added to the misery, added to the misery. And then once you kept someone for a year inside detention center and finally you give them the paper, even if you give them the paper, or release them back into the UK society, how would you expect from that person to be very successful in the society with all that trauma you you gave that person? How can you consider that after 10 years or 5 years or whatever years going through an extreme trauma, extreme pressure, then you expect them that they should contribute to the society very efficiently? That's not possible.
When somebody gets a positive decision on their status, they've got what, 28 days to move out, find somewhere to live, find a job, sort
Yeah,
of
yeah.
and thing.
Yeah, in current climate, I can bet, Stephen, with all due respect, if you don't have a job, in current climate, you can't find a job in 28 days, let alone someone who is like, who just went out of this extreme pressure.
Yeah.
They,
And we've got the situation where people are complaining about the amount of money that's being spent to accommodate asylum seekers,
yeah.
and yet nobody's talking about, well, why do they have to wait so many years for a decision, and why aren't they allowed to work? If you allow them people to work, then you won't need to spend any money
It's
looking
a,
after them, and they'll pay tax, and then they'll be ready to integrate
yeah,
with the society and move on with their lives when they do, if they do get status. Yeah.
yeah. The biggest challenge is, and which I learned, is the finance. Now, if someone asks me to give them a advice, I give them this one advice, that unless and until you don't have money, don't start a business with a with a small amount, because you will never sustain. It's not possible to sustain when you start with a very small capital. If you start with a very small budget and small amount, number one, you will never grow, and secondly, all the money which is coming in, even if there is some money coming in, it will dissolve into your expenses. It will disappear in the expenses. You will not able to get a good location because you don't have enough money to pay the rent for a good location, and so you will keep hobbling into a lower circle, and you will keep keep in that lower circle. So that is one of the things. There is something in business called MVP, minimum viable product, and I'm not fully agreed with that. Minimum viable product is good when you're making something very new, like unique. So there was no mobile phone someone came up with this idea of wireless phones. That's a minimum viable product of recent, like of modern day smartphones. Perfect. That's a minimum viable product. But minimum viable product, you cannot apply that concept on a coffee shop, or you cannot apply that concept on a clothing shop. You cannot apply that concept of, because there are already clothing shops, there are already cafes who are doing much better than you are, who are much bigger than you are, who has much bigger following than you are. So unless I'm sorry, I'm getting maybe a bit into details now, detail of
I'm really
marketing.
interested, so please do carry on. Yeah.
I'm getting more into now, getting into marketing now. But I think where I was wrong, and I'm still, and the reason why I'm still struggling as a business, we are still struggling as a business, is that I jump into the business without without having a proper resources ready to start, and that's why we are still in a lower tier, and then we are still trying to find our way to jump a step up.
I guess it's a question of finding investors at this point.
Exactly. Finding investors, but not just the investors, finding investors, finding a better location, having more promotion. But first and foremost, and that's a reality, money makes more money.
Mm.
That is a reality. If you have money, if I have money, I'll close this small shop in Walthamstow. I'll go to and have a cafe in Fitzrovia, for example, and I'll open five, and I'll have a team of people working for me who are specialists in the industry. But how will I have money? If my sales are good. How my sales will be good? If I have a cafe in a location where there's a big footfall and where people are tend to buy coffee, a specialty coffee. How will I have that space if I have money to buy to pay the rent for that space? And how will I have a money in first place? Through funders, investors. And there where I did very wrong, I did not wait, and I have like what small amount I had, I started. I took a wrong definition of minimum viable product than what I really believe now, is that anything can be a minimum viable product in any industry, which is fundamentally not true. I'm not sure whether I'm able to explain myself to you, but so
No, I understand. So it's like you're competing with somebody like Starbucks, who's
yeah,
got, you know, 100 countries with 1,000 coffee shops in each country. They've got
yeah,
the distribution, all everything's on the economy of scale,
yeah,
and they can afford to take a loss in one area because they know they're going to clean up with this one because it's in a
yeah,
train station or an airport or whatever, and
yeah.
and they're selling terrible coffee,
Exactly,
and
but
everybody's
not,
buying
we
terrible
we
coffee.
we're not direct competition with Starbucks, as in, but we are in competition with the local cafes, local coffee shops, private coffee shops. But they are also bigger than us, of course. So, and they also have a team of people working for them, and I don't have any team. I'm just by myself. I'm doing I'm doing A to Z everything by myself, including organizing events, in organizing everything, doing marketing, doing social media, and then I don't have money to pay a business development manager, or I don't have money to pay a marketing person. Because why I don't have money? Because I don't have enough sales. And why I don't have enough sales? Because I don't have a location, a good location. Why I don't have a good location? Because I don't have money. But so so
But this
it's
is
difficult.
is this your um personality? Are you somebody you see an opportunity and you want to go for it? You don't want to wait forever?
It's been a 17 years I'm in this country,
Yeah.
Stephen, and I am still nothing to show for. So I'm just getting now very impatient.
Well, I feel like that after 50 years in this country, and I was born here. So, you know,
So we are let's meet up over a pint, and then we can discuss. We can both shed our tears. You know, like
so tell us again about the Laffuccino. with Shappy Sandy. When is it and where is it and how can people find out to get their tickets?
So it's on 19th of June at Big Penny Social. It's a venue in Walthamstow. And the tickets, there's a link. The link is if you go to bit.ly, that's a shorter link. So bit.ly /Haven Gig 10. So it's HAVENGIG 10. Haven Gig 10. Or just go to our Instagram, which is Haven_coffee. So it's HAVEN_coffee, Haven Coffee. So that's our Instagram. So you will find the post about those gigs.
Yeah, fantastic. And we'll post the links on our website as well. So people, if anybody's listening to this via the podcast on the website, they can they'll be able to navigate to that as well. Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. That will be wonderful.
Well, Usman, thank you so much for taking the time out from your day in the cafe to talk to us about your life and work and to let us know about the story behind Haven and the upcoming event. It sounds like it's going to be fantastic.
No, thank you, thank you for agreeing to promote. Thanks.
And I will definitely take you up on that offer of a pint next time we're in the same town. That sounds great.
Let's do that. Let's
Yeah.
do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. I hardly drink a pint. I only do like half a pint, but yeah.
Okay. I'll try and keep up with you.
Yeah. Yeah. No worries. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks,
Usman
man.
Kelly,
Thanks.
thank you so much for being on Refugee Radio.
Thank you, and you. Thank you for inviting. Thank you. Take care.
Okay.